As your party adventures and gathers loot, gathers followers, gathers treasure, magic items, etc., and they realize they can only carry so much of it with them without literally getting crushed under the oppressive weight of their riches, where are they going to stash their cool stuff? Where are they going to hide it? Where are they going to lock it up and keep it safe? Where are they going to post the hirelings they hired to guard their precious stuff from robbers, evil wizards, necromancers, opposing treasure hunters who will want to rob them blind and steal from them while they're out on their next adventure? This all comes down to one thing: a home base. At some point, it is in every party's best interest to have some kind of home base, and this can take many forms. In this video, we're going to go all through it. I'm going to walk you through every single part of this. You're not going to want to miss it. I have a whole guide specifically dedicated to helping you do this, but I'm also going to walk through a bunch of stuff that isn't even included in that guide. You're not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned. Let's dive into it. So the time has come for your group to either build or acquire or christen a base of their own, a home base. This is awesome because home bases make a lot of sense when you're playing a long-term D&D game. This probably isn't going to be the type of thing you're going to have to deal with in a one-shot or even in a smaller arc, but if you are playing a longer immersive campaign with a long story arc where the players are going to be leveling up over many levels and they're going to be getting a bunch of cool stuff, guess what? You're probably going to have to deal with the home base issue. Now, I have a couple options to help you here. First of all, over the years, I have kept a range of meticulous notes. I have gone through the base building process many times in my campaigns. In fact, in one of my campaigns, it was mostly all about the building of like a massive home base that grew into this crazy big castle. And I have put a bunch of the rules into a simple PDF for you. You can grab this for free. It's just on my Google Drive. The link is in the description. It's called Building a Home Base in D&D Guide. You can grab the link to that and you will have like 50 pages of just stuff that I've accumulated that have helped me build bases over the years. With that being said, that is a rather intensive thing to get into, and you don't have to get that serious about it. So grab that, have it with you, go through it. You're going to find a lot of roleplay prompts in there. You're going to find a lot of idea generating prompts in there. However, I'm going to also walk you step by step through how to make this process way more simple, and you're not going to want to miss it. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And the very first thing we want to talk about is where does the home base concept start? The home base is simply this. It's a place where your characters basically stash their stuff while they're out adventuring. It's that simple. It's where they leave their hirelings or their sidekicks when they're not taking them with them. It's where they put their extra saddle or their extra sword or their magical ring when they're not going to be carrying those things with them. Unfortunately, in the D&D world or in any TTRPG fantasy world, there are thieves aplenty, and there are plenty of people who will want to take their good stuff, so they're going to have a home base. Now, the general first step home base is usually something like they rent a room at the tavern. Problem with this is that it's very low security. Yes, it's cheap. Yes, it's easy, but a simple lockpick, or even worse, a simple knock spell, is basically going to render them thieved. People are going to take their stuff. They can't really hope for much security if they're staying in just a room at the local inn. So the next best thing would be to rent or purchase a house or a cottage, right? Now, here's the good news. It is relatively simple to facilitate the renting or purchase of a house in a D&D setting. And of course, where the players are and what type of location they're in will dictate a lot of the costs associated with this. But getting a simple cottage in a rural or village setting, a small basic one-room cottage, will cost between 500 to 1,000 gold pieces. This will provide about 400 to 600 square feet, a single room with basic utilities like a hearth, a bed, and storage. These are typically found in villages, small rural towns, or on the outskirts of larger towns. This is usually the next step up. You know, the adventurers may purchase a house for 500 to 1,000 gold, stash their stuff in it, install upgraded locks, maybe hire a hireling guard to watch their stuff while they're gone, and boom, security has just now gotten way better versus just renting a room at the inn. Now, they may want to move a few steps up. Now, you can get a simple house as opposed to a simple cottage. A simple house usually has 2 to 3 rooms with basic furniture and some extra features, such as a small garden or storage space in the back. These cost 1,000 to 3,000 gold pieces and are generally 800 to 1,200 square feet. They could also buy a modest house in a town or city, 3,000 to 8,000 gold pieces. This is usually a well-built home with multiple rooms constructed of better materials like stone or brick. So this offers greater comfort with separate areas for cooking, sleeping, and entertaining guests. It also comes with increased security because it is made with better materials, and you could even do something like install a safe, something like that. I guess you could install a safe in a simple cottage, but the brick and rock construction of a modest house to me feels a little bit more secure. Now, with that being said, at some point, the players may decide, you know what, GM, we want to build a home base. We want to build a home base that will be not only security for our stuff, but security for us. Because guess what? As your adventurers become more prolific in your world, there are going to be more, maybe malevolent forces that are going to try to do ill toward them. They're probably going to create enemies. They're probably going to be, at some point, pursued by assassins or killers or rival fighters guilds wanting to take out the competition, or maybe even treasure seekers who want to capitalize on their hard-earned dungeoneering, or maybe even, dare I say it, mid-level bad guys who they defeated and took loot from, who survived or came back and now they want their stuff back. Plus they want revenge. So a home base at some point becomes more than just a place to stash their stuff. It becomes a place where the party actually looks for security, a place where they can lay their head, maybe even bring their family, maybe even raise a family in an environment where they can leave their loved ones in a place where they can be reasonably assured of their safety while they go off and do the important work of dungeoneering and finding more loot to pay for more awesome stuff so that they can upgrade their base and make it even more awesome. With that being said, I've recently published the Ultimate Dungeon Loot Randomizer. If you love rolling awesome dungeon loot for your games, this handy book, it comes in hardcover and in ebook form, has 10 D100 tables full of awesome loot that you can apply your own creativity to, add your own flair to, add your own stats to come up with just really awesome, unique loot for your party. If you love coming up with creative loot for your party and you love to stretch the boundaries of loot and random roll just wild stuff and you like putting your own creative flair on it and you're getting a little tired of the loot typically found in D&D books, well, then you're going to want to grab this. Link is in the description. This will help really upgrade your loot situation to the next level. So this brings up a really good question. How do you facilitate as a GM the building of a base? Your party comes to you and they say, hey, GM, we want to build a base. We're going to build a castle or a keep. Where do you start? Well, that free guide that I offered you at the beginning, you can download that. You can jump into the description, download the building a home base in D&D guide. That has a lot of rules in it that will actually help you to build a base. But let me go over some of the basics here. That guide is relatively complex and there's a lot of rules for a lot of different things. However, don't be intimidated by that. You do not have to make it a super complicated thing. In fact, here is some of the most basic stuff that you might actually want to know that could help you to help your players build a base without doing like a ton of math or like having to role play a whole bunch of wild things. Now you can get as technical as you want, but we can also keep it super simple. And that's what I want to go over in this next portion of the video. Now, pulling from a few different D&D sources, we can come up with some costs associated with building what you would generally consider a stone keep. Now, what is the definition of a keep? A keep is a central stronghold in a castle. So the castle is comprised of many different things. There's an outer wall, there's the courtyard, there's the towers and the gatehouse, there's the moat. However, the keep is the central stronghold. And this is usually what is built first. It is typically 50 by 50 feet to 100 feet by 100 feet, somewhere in there. It is generally 3 to 4 stories tall, though it doesn't have to start that way. It could start as 1 story and you could add on to it. So, eventually we're looking at 40 to 60 feet tall. This would serve as the last line of defense in the primary living quarters for the lord and his family, or this would serve as the first line of defense until you build an outer wall for your adventuring party and a great place where they can store their stuff. And the security here would be the highest possible. Plus, they could design it to their own specifications, the number of rooms they want, an awesome place where they could plan to store their stuff, and defensive positioning. They could plan this. They could also decide where they want to put it. They could put it at the top of a hill, make it way more defensible, right? So I'm going to go over the costs associated with building a keep in D&D. And this is, I think, where you would want to start with the base building premise if your characters want to literally make a base. So first of all, there's land costs, right? When you break this down, you're looking at somewhere between 1,000 to 10,000 gold pieces to purchase the land. And you can think of it this way. The more rural the land and the further away from like high-priced real estate areas you get, the cheaper it's going to be. So somewhere between 1,000 to 10,000 gold pieces. We're looking at next raw materials for a 50 feet by 50 feet keep with 3 to 4 stories. We're looking at somewhere between 10,000 to 20,000 gold pieces for stone. We're looking at 1,000 to 2,500 gold pieces for the wood needed. We're looking at 500 to 1,500 gold pieces for iron. That's going to help you build things like doors, hinges, defensive items like portcullises, etc. And then we're looking at also glass, tile, decorative materials, probably 200 to 500 gold pieces. By the way, this whole breakdown is available in that free PDF I offered you, the Building a Home Base in D&D guide that's in the description, which is a free thing. You can pick that up right down in my description. It's just a PDF that I've assembled over the years with a whole bunch of numbers in it. And all these numbers are in there. There's just a whole bunch of other numbers in there too. So, I'm just going through the stuff that I think is like the place to start. Now, there's also labor costs. Skilled laborers could earn 20 to 30 gold pieces per day. Note that this isn't just one laborer. This is laborers. So you would want multiple people to build it unless your PCs are going to build it. The total cost estimate for skilled labor for an entire keep would be somewhere between 30,000 to 45,000 gold pieces. Okay. Unskilled laborers are much cheaper. So the cost estimate for unskilled labor would be 3,000 to 5,000 gold pieces. There are also other expenses that you can factor in, like magical enhancements or security wards. You may need to secure permits or bribe officials to let you build somewhere. You may need to hire a foreman or a manager to run your construction project. But at any case, this can bring our total estimated cost for building a keep to a grand total of somewhere from 50,000 gold pieces to 94,500 gold pieces, according to my calculations. Okay, so basically, if you're building a smaller keep, simpler, out in the middle of nowhere, you're looking at like 50,000 gold pieces. Whole project, that means hiring a manager, hiring laborers to work for you, and then you can go off and adventure and do your things while they're building the base. So it's all going to be run for you. You just need your players to supply you with the general plans. And keep in mind that this is just for the keep, which would be, the 50 by 50 to 100 by 100 stone building, 3 to 4 stories tall, that would basically occupy the center of what will one day be an entire castle. So it's the central keep. So you would need your players to make some plans for this, which is actually really fun. Have your players sit down and draw out plans for the keep. Or if they don't want to do that, you could basically run them through a little quest plot arc where you have them seek out an architect, and then you can, like, as the GM, help them come up with some plans. And this could be a cool thing to roleplay. But it's going to be somewhere between 50,000 gold pieces and 94,500 gold pieces for the entire project. And that's to have someone build it for them so they can continue to adventure and go on plot arc adventures in the meantime. With that being said, do you often struggle with creating plot arcs? I have a free PDF ebook. If you join my mailing list, you'll get this ebook, my Ultimate Plot Randomizer, for free. It is 4 D100 tables. It'll let you random roll plot arcs on the fly, roll the hook, the conflict, the conclusion, and even wild, wacky stuff to keep your players guessing. If you love unlimited plot arcs and you love to come up with them and then apply your own creativity to them, I'm going to tell you what, this ebook will help you a lot. Download it for free, print it out, throw it in your stuff, keep it for when you need to random roll some plot arcs for your players. Anyway, link to that is also in the description. As for how long it takes to build a keep using this technique, we're in general planning on roughly 300-ish days to general completion of the entire project. It's going to take your team of laborers and your manager about 300 full days to do this. Of course, this is a rough estimate. If it's closer to that 50 by 50 size and it's simpler, maybe less than that. If you're building a 100 by 100 foot, 4-story tall keep with a bunch of extra trimmings. Guess what? It might even take 365 days. It may take a full year. This is not a small project. It's going to take some time, which is why your player characters may want to, as I said, hire the manager and the laborers and then just check in on it between adventures. Personally, this is the way that I like to run this types of thing. There's also a lot of other factors to consider. They may want to hire spellcasters to come in and put permanent, alarms in there, permanent magical locks, these types of things. And that's all stuff that you can, factor in later. But as a general rule, this is how I run bases in this type of environment. Now, as a GM, you may be thinking to yourself, well, this is a little bit overwhelming for me. It seems like there's a lot of math here. And I totally understand. Some GMs are really into highly complex and detailed math type formulas for doing things like this. But some GMs are not. Some GMs don't want to dive in and run a whole construction business slash, project where they're going to have to keep ledgers and keep track of money spent and how much has been paid to laborers and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In your D&D game, your players are probably tracking their own gold and silver. They probably maybe even have some kind of company ledger with party gold that they factor into these things. You as a GM may want minimal oversight into those things, or you may want to keep your own super detailed ledgers about what's going on with the construction of the keep. But I would like to encourage you to not feel like you need to get super detailed with this to make it really cool. So you can get really technical with the construction of this. And like I said, all the really technical rules that I have used or even thought of, I haven't even used them all, I put in that free PDF guide that you can download, the Building a Home Base in D&D guide, which is in the description. It's just literally a PDF. With that being said, you don't have to follow all of those rules. In fact, if you want to make it really, really simple, you can just focus on this. You know that the end game price for building a keep is going to be somewhere between 50,000 gold pieces and roughly 95,000 gold pieces. You can just, through common sense, think to yourself, okay, the location they want to build at, is this a higher price location? Also, the relative size and complexity. Where do I think it falls on that scale? Is it closer to 50,000? Is it 95,000? Somewhere in the middle? And then you can break this up. You could say, thinking to yourself, my adventurers generally go on these, quests. These quests tend to last a month. Okay, I'm going to break this up into a 10-month project. So if we take 50,000 gold, and we divide it by 10, we come up with 5,000 gold per month. So maybe you role play them making a deal with a local builder. The builder has the construction crew. The builder looks at their plans and says, oh yeah, I could do this for 50,000 gold. And they might say, well, I don't have it all right now. And he would say, if you don't have it all right now, you can just make a 5,000 gold payment in advance up front. We will start construction for you. And then once a month, come back, you can check on the progress and make another 5,000 gold payment. And then you can just plot it out in 10 steps. The construction of it, every time they return, you could have a little maybe one session quest where they literally are checking on the construction of the home base, but they are also maybe seeing some suspicious things, or they have to solve a local mystery, or maybe one of the laborers is acting strange, and maybe the manager reports that there's been someone spying on them at night, so they want to go check on that. Maybe there's a rival group staying at the inn and they've been keeping a mysterious eye on the building of it, taking notes. Maybe the players want to go investigate that. So there's a lot of different possibilities that can come up here. However, the point being is that you don't have to make this super complex. You don't have to make it overly complicated. You can keep it very, very simple, and you can still have an immersive base building experience. And to me, the role play involved in that is actually really cool. Another thing that you might factor in is that there are going to be people from the surrounding area who are going to notice that a base is being built here. And in my games, it's always when people see a base is being built, they think one thing: there's money here. Someone here has a lot of money to be able to afford this. Do you know what else that means? That also means that they might have enough money to hire me. I could maybe make better wages if I go there. They're going to be coming to you asking for a job. They're going to be coming to you asking for help. They're going to be coming to you saying, hey, my family has been struggling over here. Could we move our potato farm here and then be under your protection? And in return, we'll give you 10% of our crops. Or you can hire us to run your potato gardens. The same is true of young adventurers from the nearby village. They might hear that adventurers are building a keep, and that's going to bring these, like, cool people who are maybe inexperienced, but who potentially have a lot to offer. And they're going to be coming to your group saying, hey, will you hire us? Can we be adventurers for you? We really want to be a part of whatever you're building here. Please, please, please. We're living on scraps over here. We want to come join you and your group. And this is a really fun thing because the role play implications of this are vast. And this is where your group can go from being just adventurers to literally having keep being lords and ladies, overseeing maybe an entire, like a village may grow around the keep, just because the keep is like an ideological symbol and metaphor and a very real life symbol of increased safety and security for them. And you might even start to need to build an army. Like your player characters may even need to build an army to protect these people. And this could lead to them being literally kings or queens or a ruling party of their own to rival other local feudal lords or whatever. So this is a really cool thing. It's also possible that if they get large enough, a big army from nearby may come in and may want to basically make them a feudal lord underneath their kingdom. And so this can be kind of like a fun thing. Like they may need to broker deals to keep the larger armies at bay, pay taxes or whatever in order to keep their own sovereignty in that area, to prevent having their keep overrun by other local rulers until they get big enough to break free and break out from under the thumb of those rulers. So this is a really fun way to transition into more of like a king building or a queen building, like ruler class empire building game, just because your players decided to start building a base and what that symbolizes for the local area. One more thing I'm going to say is that if you like doing these types of things, talking about these types of things, and you would like to get feedback on your own plans or ideas, I would encourage you to join my Discord. It's free. You can jump in there. There's a whole bunch of GMs in there. We exchange advice. We're running games. We're looking for players for games, players looking for GMs, GMs looking for players. There are places to post your games in there. You can share homebrew advice. You can ask for tips. We discuss all kinds of things related to TTRPGs. So if you like Discord and you like TTRPGs, at least stop by and say hi. We'd love to see you. With that being said, that's going to be a wrap. Thank you so much for watching my video about home bases. I love this topic. And hey, thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. I'm here every day creating videos about the best game in the world, D&D. So I will see you awesome people on the next one.